Hello there. My name is Mackenzie. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for being here. Today we are re-recording this intro because since I have filmed this video, or at least part of this video, it's been a week, and so things have changed and my plans have changed. So this video will instead be like my May wrap up and June TBR and like goals and TBR check-in. I always do this thing where I plan a video and I want it to come out on this specific date, and then circumstances arise and I can't get that video out on that day, and so I just push it back and then push it back and then push it back until it just never comes out. And then I wait forever to come back because I don't know how to recover from such a failure. The last time this happened was the cookie video, Christmas of 2021. It was awful. It still has never happened. It's not coming out. Just don't plan on it. And then this video that I was trying to get out was for the Nebula Award finalist for novels, and I was reading all of the novels, and by the time the winner was announced, I had only read 2 of the 5 books. Then I was like, okay, I'll just not look at the winner, finish the books, look at the winner, and then everything will still be genuine. And then the author posted about winning, which, like, good for them. I'm very happy for them. I think that I haven't finished all of the books still, but I think that they definitely deserve to win. So after I figured out who won, I decided that maybe we just shouldn't do the video because it's no longer genuine. I already know who wins. So that was a little bit disappointing. But we're moving on. I am going to cut to the part of the video that I recorded last week about my May wrap-up, and then we'll cut back to me here, and we'll talk about my June TBR plans. Okay. So a few of these books I didn't show you that I hauled because I also didn't do a May monthly vlog. So if you haven't seen these, I've obviously hauled them from the time that you haven't seen. From my last haul until now, if you see any new books, these are the ones that I've hauled. So the first book that I finished up in May, because I read the majority of it in April, was All Her Little Secrets by Wanda M. Morris. I guess I just loved this book and loved reading it because, it doesn't stay flat anymore. And I truly did love this book. I don't have any of my notes. Hang on, I don't even know what I rated this book. I actually enjoyed this book a lot more than I thought I was going to, so I read this for the Literally Dead book club for Books in Lala, Kayla's book club. I've been just trying to go into these books not knowing too much about them, and I'm glad that I did that, because if you would have told me that this was more of like a procedural crime thriller, it was very lawyer-esque, a lot about police, and I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. I really wouldn't have given it a chance. But this was kind of really interesting. There was a dual timeline that I enjoyed both aspects of. I felt like the dual timeline really helped. The second timeline helped the first timeline being told. I really enjoyed the characters. I feel like this is definitely one of those social horrors that has come out since Get Out has become very popular, the movie by Jordan Peele. I feel like a lot of social horrors now just kind of have that same aspect where it's like the bad guy is racism, and here's the cult that is surrounding racism so you can take down a legitimate thing. And so it's kind of interesting, it's kind of sad. It's a very, very sad book. Child abuse, sexual abuse, misogyny, racism, blatant misogyny. It's very blatant. I do enjoy the way that the author set up the characters and how a lot of how they've processed their trauma comes out in adulthood. And she's not sitting there like, oh, Elise feels this way because of her past trauma that this particular instance inspired. It's just telling you, the things as they are and allowing the reader to kind of put it together. And I really enjoy that. And I enjoy when books allow me to be and use my brain, be smart and use my brain to put things together. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would, which is why I ended up giving it a 4-star, because it really did something for me. This was Wanda M. Morris's debut, I almost said debut album, debut book. Her next book that is going to be coming out is following one of the characters in this book in her past. So I'm really excited about that, and I can't wait to read that. The next official book that I finished entirely in May is A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. Oh my god, it was perfect, and I gave it a 5-star. And here's why. This book is all about culturalism and society and colonialism and different cultures when they become so big as an empire, eating and destroying other cultures and other communities. And it's about when you are colonized, or when there is a culture like that, and you love it because it is a very amazing culture, but you also hate that it has taken over your own culture, that they have ruined people's lives, that they've destroyed people. This is an amazing story. So this is a series. It's a first in a series. I don't know if there are just 2 books in the series. I read 2 books in this series. I don't have a title for a 3rd book, a release date for a 3rd book, so I don't know if a 3rd book is coming. The second one did feel like an okay ending. I really would enjoy more because the series is just so good. So in this book, we are following an ambassador, Mahit Dismar, and she is an ambassador for a station called el Station. This is all taking place in space, no Earth. Space. So el Station is these people who don't have a planet. So they basically have this big like spaceship that they travel on, and they are in a space, stuck in a space, and they send out pilots to go and mine materials within their station's area. And Tex-Kalan is the empire that basically devours everything else. It is the empire, and whenever it comes into contact with any intelligent life, it basically takes them over and makes them part of the Tex-Kalan empire. This is with the exception of el Station and the other stationers within Laselle's orbit. So Mahit Dismar is going to Tex-Kalan, their empire, to be an ambassador for her station because her predecessor has just been gone. It's mysterious. They're missing. At the beginning of the book, all they know is that the ambassador predecessor is missing, and the Tex-Kalan has requested a new one. So Mahit is being sent to Tex-Kalan with an imago machine. Now, an imago machine is a machine that goes into their brainstem and basically records everything. It records memory, and memory and emotion are tied together. And so when you take a recording of somebody's memory, you are also kind of taking a little bit of personality with them. So she is implanted with her predecessor's imago machine. She goes with him to Tex-Kalan, and they're like within her own body. There's so much. Like, while this story is talking about like the thematics of culturalism and colonialism and being taken over by an empire, it is also seamlessly weaving together this world that you completely believe in. These characters who are entirely morally gray, who are neither good nor bad entirely, and are just trying to do their best. There are some people who are trying to save everyone, and some people who aren't, and they're both doing bad and good things, and it's amazing. It was amazing. And at the end of this, it's very climactic. It feels like there are moments of, oh gosh, what is that movie? Minority Report. There are definitely hints of Dune, where like the way that the imago machine works really feels like Dune in the later books when Leto the Second is able to like speak with his ancestors. So it was amazing. It continues to be amazing. And every time I sat down to read it, it was bringing me to tears because of the conversations that were happening. Excellent, excellent. Then I read an audiobook, Switch by A.S. King. I really so I picked it up because it was a pretty short audiobook, and I like to listen to audiobooks when I'm doing like intensive chores because it takes my mind off of doing these chores. So I was listening to this audiobook. It was really good. I ended up giving this a 4 stars. I did enjoy it. I felt like what I assumed was going to happen in the plot and the answers to the mysteries were correct. Nothing was surprising in that sense. What ended up surprising me and boosting this up to a 4 star instead of just a 3 star was the kind of conversations that were taking place, and I feel like I read this at the perfect time. After the pandemic, after COVID, after us all being in quarantine for a year and a half, I felt like this had really good conversations about what humans do with their time and what they view as most important, and it was really interesting, and the family dynamic was interesting as well. I didn't expect those things to play in, especially with how short it was. I felt like it was a good story. I felt like it was a sweet story. I really enjoyed it. I recommend it. It is a weird one. I will say that. Like, it's even like written strangely. This could be that the character is meant to be read as autistic, or it could be that this is the way that A.S. King writes. I do not know. However, to me, it did feel like she was a little autistic, just not only because of the way that it was written and like presented to us the information, but also the way that she interacted with other characters. So it was really interesting in that sense, and I really did enjoy that. So good story overall. Next, I finished A Master of Djinn by P. Djeli Clark. This is the winner for the Nebula Award for Novelist 2022. I was very excited that it won because while this one, I also gave this one 5 stars. While this one wasn't even the nominee. A Desolation Called Peace was the nominee for this year. While they both kind of talked a lot about like colonialism and culturalism and racism as well, I felt like they were very different. This felt like I knew these people. The characters were so overly well done. It was insane how well these characters were. They were making me laugh. They were consistent. This made me question my rating for other books' characters. Like, it just did. And like, if this one didn't win, I think I would have been disappointed, even though I haven't finished the other 3 books that were nominated. But this was such a good book. So we are following one of the main characters. This has 3 short stories that come before it, and I do recommend that you read them. While I don't think you would be entirely lost if you didn't, I feel like it adds so much more to have read them, because everything comes back. Everything comes back. Not like it would leave you in the dark if you hadn't read them, but if you had read them, it just makes it that much more beautiful and satisfying, and the story feels much more well-rounded. So in this one, we are following Fatima in Cairo 1912, and this is an alternate history Cairo, because there is magic. There is was a man called Al-Jahiz. He doesn't have a real name. They just called him Al-Jahiz, and he basically tore a hole in the space-time continuum and allowed all of these magical creatures to fall through, like angels and djinn and magical monsters. This is an amazing story, and all I want is more of it. All I want is more. The characters were beautiful. The story was amazing. I loved Fatima. She was amazing. I also loved how it kind of turned into a bit of a buddy cop story, and that was amazing. I felt like as it transitioned into all of these things and added elements, it never lost sight of what the themes were and what the goal of the story was, and it was just great. It was just lovely, and I loved it so much. So let's talk a little bit of Desolation Called Peace by Arkady Martine. This was the nominee for the Nebula Award Prize. This was also very good. I felt like this expanded much more and added more elements to the conversation, like what makes a person human, what makes someone human. Is language and intelligence the only markers of what makes someone a human, and what levels of language and intelligence does one need? In this one, I felt like we had a lot more morally gray characters whose perspectives we were following consistently. I felt like even with characters who were part of the colonizer were still so important to me, and they broke my heart, and I felt for them, and it was just so good. It was just so good, and I loved it. Another 5-star. It was amazing. We continue to follow Mahit Dismar after, I want to say this takes place either right after the events of A Memory Called Empire, or just like a month or 2 after. So it's very interesting. It's very sad. It's much more, I don't want to say more traumatic, but this has a lot more to do with war, and those things are talked about more frequently. So very good, very lovely. I enjoyed it so much, and that was the last book that I finished in May. All right, welcome back. That was my wrap up. Now let's talk about my June TBR, and then we'll talk about my goals and TBR check-in. So I still have, I have officially finished the Unbroken since the week that we ended. It's very difficult to say exactly what has put me in this slumpy kind of feeling that I'm having recently. Is it because that I have read all sci-fi fantasy for like 3 or 4 books straight? Possibly. Is it that I've read amazing sci-fi fantasy stories for 3 books straight, and then topped it up with this, which just does not live up to anything? Not even its own hype? This was a disappointment. I don't want to talk about it right now. Anyways, I finished that one. And of the Nebula Award finalists, I only have this one and this one that I have left. Plague Birds, I am here. I'm enjoying. And Machinehood, I am here. And I'm enjoying. And I'm enjoying both of them. However, I have read so much sci-fi fantasy and I'm just so slumpy. And after finishing The Unbroken, like, it's so hard to bring myself to read anything. I am in the middle of Heir of Fire. I'm right here because my coworker is still not caught up to me. So, like, this could be a good palate cleanser in between these two, but I have to wait for my coworker. So we're pausing on that. What I do have is Confessions by Kanae Minato, which was the Literally Dead Book Club pick for May, which I haven't read yet. I did start, I'm on page 7. So I've decided to use this as my palate cleanser between these two. And then when this is finished, I will incorporate The Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. So this is the third in the Broken Earth trilogy. I put the Broken Earth trilogy on pause to get to the Nebula Award finalists, and then that didn't happen. And do you know how depressing it is when the Broken Earth trilogy was supposed to be a reading vlog video and I didn't get to put it up because I didn't finish it in time because I'm like so busy and slumpy and like... Work has just been a lot. It's been a lot. And I get home and I'm brain fried. I just have a fried brain. I can't think. I don't want to read. I just want to sit on my phone and just let my brain turn to mush. So this is a video that didn't get to happen. These are a video that didn't get to happen. And then I just went into a video depression because, like, how am I supposed... How do I come back from this? How do I plan for videos anymore? And now I'm just so nervous. So honestly, and it's June 11th today. So honestly, I think that this will be all that I can get through in June. And I know I didn't put out a May-June TBR video, but I did create a TBR for myself. And like barely any of these books are on that TBR. So it's just kind of... I'm trying not to be disappointed in my reading journey for the past 2 months, but you know, it's rough. Alright, but enough about June. I'm done talking about June. I have those books to finish, and hopefully I finish them. We'll see in my TBR video. Now, let's talk about my 2022 goals and TBR check-in. So my TBR total is 187 books. Now, I don't remember if I exactly said 187 in my 2022 goals video that I posted at the beginning of the year, or was it last year in December? However, the books on my TBR that I am including in the 187 also include Barnes & Noble classics and classic books that I have had on my TBR that I decided at the beginning of this year I didn't want to read, and now as we've gotten into this year, I'm like, yeah, I do want to read those. So 187 total. Of the books that already existed on my TBR at the beginning of 2022, I've read 28 of them, which is 15%. 15% in 5 months. Good job, Mackenzie. Great. So let's talk a little bit about the goals that I set for myself this year. I set myself 4 goals. The first goal was to be better at using my reading journal. And I don't think there has been a single month after February. So March, April, May, May and June I didn't even do reading journal videos. I am never prepared. And that is where my biggest struggle is still. I'm just not prepared to write my reading journal. None of my pages are prepared. Look, let's pull it out right now. Where is it? I haven't written in my review for the Unbroken. These are blank. I've prepped my pages for June, but that's about it. Only because I'm actually about to film this video either today or tomorrow. Like, it's never ready. I'm never ready. Never prepared. And then not to mention, I saw Katie Coulson do her reading journals. Like, goals. Like, how? I want to do those. I want that for me in my journal with paint. I am not a good painter. But like, that's the thing, right? You get better. Gosh, I'm in a spiral. Let's keep going. Number 2, second goal was not to get slumpy. And here I am, slumpy. It is really just my first slump of the year. The rest of the year I've been done pretty well, even if I haven't read that many books. Like in February, I don't think I read that many books, but I still was reading consistently and I didn't feel like I was in a reading slump. I was just reading slower. Mara from Books Like Woe was talking about how as a reader, what you should really do, especially if you don't have like other hobbies that you're intermixing your reading with, is to change the format of how you're reading. Lengthwise, genre-wise, is it audio? Are you reading physically? Mix it up and then you won't get as slumpy as you would typically do as if you were reading like all fantasy, and then you'll just like, burn out. And so this time being my first slump of the year, and I have read like sci-fi fantasy consistently for a month, the entire month that I haven't been filming, I'm not really surprised that I'm pretty slumpy. Number 3 was to slow down on book buying. So I am skipping book hauls. I'm not posting any book hauls. I'm not watching any book hauls. I am still hauling books, and if you watch any of my monthly vlogs, you see all of the books I have hauled. 42 books that I have bought this year. And then I have read 8 of them. Of the 42 books on that list that I bought this year, 8 of them were on my wish list. But I still bought like 34 books that were not on my wish list that I didn't plan on buying this year. Some of those books could include like some of the Literally Dead book club picks, like those aren't going to be on my wish list, and I am reading those. I have read a lot of books just on audio this year. So we are 0 for 3. Good job, Mackenzie. Great, great, great. Number 4, finish the series I have on my TBR. So I have finished the Simon Snow trilogy, and I have finished the Folk of the Air series. I am in the middle of Broken Earth. I've read 2 out of the 3 books. Other than that, a series that I have given up on, not entirely given up on, but I attempted to read them and it just didn't happen, was the Children of Blood and Bone series. I see it over there mocking me. What other full series do I have on my list? I also have the Robot series by Isaac Asimov that I don't know if I plan on reading this year. I do plan on reading the Daughter of Smoke and Bone. That's what that series is called. The Kiss Quotient, I have 2 of the 3 books. Written in the Stars, I don't own all of. The Brown Sisters series, I do own all of. I just haven't finished. King of Scars duology, I couldn't bring myself to actually pick that up. I did read the second book in Crescent City, catching me all the way up in that series, which is great. I'm obviously not exactly where I thought I was going to be with all of my goals and reading and TBR, because I really, honest to God, feel like I have the same number of books in that corner that I had at the beginning of this year. All of these books that I just haven't read yet, and it's prioritize the ones we think we're going to love in the moment, because honestly, that's what reading is. Just meeting me in my moment to love these books amazingly, exponentially. So I did rearrange what my TBR is going to be for the rest of the year, but I do have it all laid out, so hopefully we can stick to it. I don't want to promise any other videos for the rest of the month because who knows what it's going to be like. I would like to get a reading journal video up this month though, and I would also like to redecorate my shelves for summer. We're still rocking our spring flowers, and I need a different gnome. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!